Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. So this is our first video of biology. So in this video we will start our first chapter, that is life processes, and we will discuss our first life process, that is nutrition. Now after watching this video you will be able to answer the following questions. So in this video you will learn about what are life processes, why do we need nutrition, what are the different modes of nutrition, what is autotrophic nutrition, what is photosynthesis, why photosynthesis is performed, how photosynthesis is performed, and the necessary conditions that are required for photosynthesis. Now, what are our life processes? So, the human body, we actually need to maintain our body, we actually need to maintain our life, and we need some processes that perform the maintenance job of our human body. So these processes are known as the life process. Now energy is required for the maintenance process, right? Everyone requires energy to perform various activities, and so everyone require energy also to maintain our human body, to maintain the different process which are going on inside our body. Now this energy, it is actually coming from outside the body of the individual organism. So there must be a process which actually transfer the energy from the outside of the human body to the inside, right? So that process is nothing but the nutrition. So nutrition is the first life process which we are going to discuss in this chapter, and this process is nothing but it is a process which transfers the energy from outside to the inside of our body. Now the source of energy which we have taken from outside, it need to be broken down and it need to be built up in a uniform source of energy, right? So we have taken some amount of food, right? The source of energy is nothing but the food. So we have taken some amount of food through nutrition, right? Now after engulfing that food, we need to break it down and we need to convert it into a uniform source of energy, and this uniform source of energy is nothing but the ATP. We have already discussed this term in your 9th class. So ATP is the energy currency of the body. So why do we need to convert it into the uniform source of energy? Because देखो, जब हम फूड खाते हैं, it is not necessary कि उसी time पे we require that energy. There are certain circumstances where we require more amount of energy, and there are certain circumstances where we will require less amount of energy. So what we have to do is we have to convert the source of energy into a uniform source of energy जिसको हम अपने मुताबिक use कर सकें, right? Now to convert the source of energy into a uniform source of energy, we have to undergo certain chemical reactions. So these chemical reactions are oxidizing reducing reactions. These chemical reactions are oxidizing reducing reactions, which will convert your source of energy into the uniform source of energy. That means which will convert your food into the ATP. Now what are oxidizing and reducing reactions? So oxidation is nothing but the breakdown of the food or any particle with the help of oxygen, and reduction is nothing but the addition of hydrogen into any substance, right? So when we actually break down the food and we convert it, we produce a certain form of energy. We actually do all this through a process known as respiration. So respiration is the second life process which we are going to discuss in this chapter, and this is a process which uses oxygen to break down your food and convert it into the ATP or forms ATP, right? I hope nutrition and respiration, both the processes are clear. Don't get confused between respiration and breathing. We will discuss breathing later on. Breathing is nothing but the exchange of gases, right? Taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. But respiration is nothing but the process of production of ATP, right? Through respiration we actually produce ATP. Now Next, in case of single cell organism, there are no specific organs for taking food, exchange of gases, removal of waste. Everything can be done with the help of single cell. Why? Because the entire surface of the organism is in contact with the environment. You can see here the amoeba is a unicellular organism और इसको कोई भी special organs नहीं चाहिए. It does not require any special organ to engulf the food, to transport it somewhere and to remove the waste, right? Because all the entire surface of this unicellular organism is in direct contact with the environment. ठीक है, it will directly take up the food, it will break it down, and then it will assimilate the food, right? That means it will absorb the food particle and it will actually remove the waste particle directly through this single cell itself, right? It does not require any other specific organ. But in case, now what happens when the body size of the organism increases, the body design becomes more complex, right? So it is very much simpler in case of single cell organism. They directly take up the food particle, they break it down, they assimilate it or absorb the food particle, and then they remove the waste from that single cell only. But the case is somewhat different in case of multicellular organism. What happens is, because all the cells are not in direct contact with the surrounding environment, so simple diffusion will not meet the requirement of all the cell, right? So we need some specialized body part to perform different functions, right? We uptake the food, we take in oxygen with some specialized tissue, right? We uptake the food through our mouth, we take up oxygen through our nostrils, right? But now what happens, ठीक है, हमने food ले लिया, हमने oxygen ले लिया, but that food and oxygen, it is actually required, it is needed to all other parts of the body also, because our leg also require the source of energy, our hands also require the source of energy, our brain also require oxygen. So in the multicellular case, there should be a system which actually can carry the source of energy and oxygen to other parts of the body as well, right? So the third life process which we are going to discuss in this chapter is the transportation system. So this transportation system will carry your food and oxygen to from one place to the another place of the body, क्योंकि हमारे बॉडी के हर ऑर्गन को फूड भी चाहिए और ऑक्सीजन भी चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने माउथ से फूड ले लिया, हमने नॉस्ट्रल से ऑक्सीजन इनहेल कर लिया एंड दैट इज़ इनफ. दैट फूड एंड ऑक्सीजन विल ऑल्सो बी रिक्वायर्ड बाय अदर पार्ट्स ऑल्सो. सो देयर मस्ट बी अ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सिस्टम. Now, after all the chemical reactions, we have generated energy, and during this process we have created some byproducts also. Now these byproducts, they are actually useless for our body, they are of no use now, and they can be harmful also. So we need to remove them. Now to remove the waste, we will perform a life process known as excretion. We will perform another life process known as excretion. So we have certain specialized tissue which will do this function, right? So in this chapter we will be discussing about nutrition, we will be discussing about respiration, we will be discussing about your transportation system, and then your excretion. Right? I hope the overview of life processes is very much clear. Now what is nutrition? Nutrition is nothing but the taking up of energy, right? Taking up of source of energy, right? So we all need energy to perform various function, right? And how can we produce this energy? By taking up source of energy from external environment, right? So how do living things get their food? Now depending upon the type of living organisms, their source of food is also different, right? So some organism, they use some simple food materials which are obtained from inorganic sources in the form of carbon dioxide and water, like plants, right? So what they do is they actually uses some simple inorganic sources, as carbon dioxide and water both are simple inorganic sources. So for plant, these two simple inorganic sources is the only source of food. Next, Now, there are some other organisms also which utilize complex substances like us, like humans. We use what? We use a complex substance known as glucose. Now, these complex substances have to be broken down into simpler ones before they can be used for upkeep and growth of the body. So, basically, what they are saying is there are certain other category of organisms which require complex substances. They are basically talking about the heterotrophs, right? So heterotroph requires complex substances, and that complex substances are glucose and other source of energy also. They can be carbohydrate, fat, and other source of energy also. Now what we have to do is we have to break down this source into simpler component. So to achieve this thing, we are actually basically dependent upon the biocatalyst known as enzymes. So we, the heterotrophs, are dependent upon the enzymes. Now heterotroph survival depends directly or indirectly on the autotrophs, because autotrophs are the organisms which has the capacity to convert inorganic substances into organic substances. That means autotroph will use carbon dioxide and water, and they can form glucose out of it. But we, the heterotrophs, we are dependent on the autotroph for this process, because we cannot directly convert, we cannot directly synthesize our glucose, right? So we are dependent on autotrophs for our source of energy. Now what is autotrophic mode of nutrition? मैं पहले ही बता चुकी हूँ. Autotrophic mode of nutrition is a nutrition where the organism has the capacity to convert inorganic sources into the organic sources. Now the inorganic sources are the carbon dioxide and water, and they will convert these inorganic sources into the organic source known as carbohydrates. Now carbohydrates are utilized for providing energy to the plant. Now these carbohydrates which are not used immediately, they are stored in the form of starch. So plants store their energy in the form of starch, and we humans, we store our energy in the form of glycogen. Now what are the 3 steps of photosynthesis? This is very important topic. Now let us see how photosynthesis is performed. Now in photosynthesis, the first step is the absorption of light energy by the chlorophyll, right? So now the plant must have something which help them to absorb the energy. हम क्यों नहीं light को absorb कर पाते? Why can't we absorb the sunlight? Obviously because we don't have chlorophyll. जादू जो था movie, कौन सी movie थी? कोई मिल गया, right? So in that movie, जादू was able to absorb the sunlight, so he might have chlorophyll in him, right? So that is why he was able to absorb the chlorophyll. Just kidding. So jokes apart, the first step of the photosynthesis is your absorption of light energy by the chlorophylls, and since the plant has chlorophyll, that is why they are able to absorb the light, right? So next what they do is they convert this light energy into the chemical energy, right? So they convert this light energy into chemical energy, and they use this chemical energy to split water, right? Now water is made up of 2 molecules, that is hydrogen and oxygen. So they will split the water into hydrogen and oxygen. Now oxygen will be liberated as byproduct from the plants, and hydrogen, what hydrogen will do, it will go and combine with the carbon dioxide and form carbohydrate, right? So in this diagram, as you can see, the first step is the absorption of light. So the plant will absorb the sunlight because they have chlorophyll, right? Now after that they will convert this sunlight into the chemical energy, and that chemical energy will be utilized to split the water molecule. Now this water molecule will be split into hydrogen and oxygen. Now the oxygen molecule will be released from the plants as byproduct, and hydrogen will go, here are the hydrogen molecule, they will go and combine with the carbon dioxide molecule and will form glucose, right? Will form carbon dioxide. You can see here also. So what will happen? Chlorophyll, because of the chlorophyll, plants will absorb sun energy, and they will convert this sun energy into the chemical energy. This chemical energy will be used to split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Now this oxygen will be liberated as oxygen gas through plants, and the remaining hydrogen will go and combine with the carbon dioxide, and this will form your sugar, that is your glucose or carbohydrates. What some amount of water is also formed in this process. Now, it is not necessary that all the plants will perform these 3 steps in this particular sequence only. ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो पहले सनलाइट ही एब्जॉर्ब करेंगे फिर उसको केमिकल एनर्जी में ट्रांसफ़र करेंगे, या ये सारे स्टेप एक के बाद एक होंगे, राइट. देयर आर सम एक्सेप्शंस ऑल्सो. इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी दैट ऑल द प्लांट्स विल परफॉर्म these 3 steps in the similar sequence. So the specialized case or the special case is your desert plants. Now what happens in desert plant is, now desert plant will take up the carbon dioxide at night. So as you can see in this diagram, they will take up the carbon dioxide at night. Why? Because they will only open up their stomata at night. क्यों? क्योंकि stomata से they can also, there will be a loss of water and they cannot afford loss of water since they are desert plants. वहाँ पे वैसे ही there is a scarcity of water, so they cannot afford the loss of water, sorry. So they open up their stomata during the night, right? So when they can prevent the loss of water. So at night when the stomata will be open up, then the carbon dioxide will be taken up by the leaf. Now they will prepare an intermediate, and this intermediate is nothing but your malic acid. So your carbon dioxide is converted into the malic acid and it will be stored in the food vacuole, right? It will be stored in the food vacuole in the leaf. Now this malic acid will be converted into carbon dioxide. This malic acid will be converted into the carbon dioxide. Now again the carbon dioxide will enter into the chloroplast, right? And in the daytime when again the sun will arrive and the sunlight is being absorbed by the thylakoid, that means sunlight will being absorbed by the chloroplast, that sunlight will be converted into chemical energy, and that chemical energy will be used to split the water, and that water will split into hydrogen and oxygen, and that hydrogen will combine with this carbon dioxide and will form glucose. So basically they will not directly take up the carbon dioxide during the daytime. What they do is they will take up the carbon dioxide at night time and they will store it in the form of malic acid, and during the day they will reduce this carbon dioxide again to form the energy. So desert plants take up the carbon dioxide at night. They will prepare an intermediate which is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. I hope this sentence is very much clear to you all. Now the next part is we have to discuss the cross section of a leaf, right? So this is the diagram which is given in your NCERT. Now in this diagram, what is here, you can see the midrib, and the green part is your leaf blade, and you have certain smaller veins also. Now these veins and midrib, they will contain your conducting tissues. You remember phloem and xylem, these are the two tissues which supplies the food and water to the plant parts. So this is the phloem and xylem which are present in the midrib and veins. Now in this diagram you can see this is the upper epidermis. So the upper epidermis is the uppermost layer of the leaf. Now beneath the epidermis you will find the mesophyll cells, and these are very very important cells, because mesophyll cells are the cells in the leaf which contain chloroplast. So as you can see in this diagram, this is the diagram of mesophyll cells because it contains chloroplast. Okay? Now so beneath the epidermis you will have two type of mesophyll cells. One which are longitudinal in shape are known as your palisade mesophyll cells, and one which are oval in shape are known as spongy mesophyll cells. And beneath the mesophyll cells you will have your lower epidermis. So I hope this diagram is very much clear. You can see another diagram which I have taken from internet. Now this is the uppermost waxy layer known as cuticle, and beneath the cuticle you will be having the epidermis, and beneath the epidermis you have two different types of mesophyll cells, and mesophyll cells are the cells which contain chloroplast. Now the longitudinal mesophyll cells are known as palisade mesophyll cells, and the oval mesophyll cells are known as the spongy cells, right? Spongy mesophyll cells. And the gap in the lower epidermis is stomata, right? And so this is your lower epidermis. So the green dots are the cell organelles called chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll. So mesophyll cells will contain chloroplast, and chloroplast will contain the green pigment known as chlorophyll. Now let us see an activity where we can prove that chlorophyll is essential for the photosynthesis. Now in this activity, what you have to do is you have to take a potted plant with the variegated leaves. Now what are variegated leaves? Variegated leaves are the leaves which contain different colors of patches, right? They will have green color patch, they will have yellow color, brown color, they will have different color patches on them, right? As you can see in money plants and certain other plants also, crotons, right? Now the next step is you have to keep the plant in a dark room for 3 days, right? So you have to keep it in the absence of sunlight for 3 days, for continuously 3 days. So what will happen in 3 days? Obviously there will be no sunlight, there will be no photosynthesis, और जितना भी stored form of energy है, जितना भी stored starch है, that will also used up by the plant. Now after that, what you have to do is you have to keep this plant again in the sunlight for about 6 hours. Now in this 6 hours, what will happen? Again sunlight will arrive, and photosynthesis will be performed by the plant, and after that you have to pluck a leaf from the plant. Now what you have to do is you have to mark the green areas in it and trace them on the sheet of paper. This is not necessary actually. Now what you have to do next is dip that leaf in the boiling water for few minutes. Okay? So you have plucked the leaf and you are now going to boil it in the water. Now after that immerse that leaf in a beaker containing alcohol. ठीक है, तो हमने क्या किया, उस लीफ को now we are transferring into a beaker which contains alcohol. Now carefully place the above beaker in the water bath. Why? Because we cannot put the beaker which contain alcohol directly on the flame, because alcohol is inflammable, so it may catch fire. So what we have to do is we have to indirectly boil the alcohol. So we have to place the beaker in a water bath. Now we have to heat till the alcohol begins to boil. ठीक है, now the alcohol will begin to boil, and what will happen, the leaf will release its color and the alcohol solution will become greener in color and your leaf will become less greener. Now take out that leaf and dip it in the solution of iodine. Now this is very very important, and this activity is also very very important. ये भी बोर्ड एग्जाम में पूछी जाती है, ऐसा मत सोचना, don't think like that कि it's an activity, it is not important. It has been asked in board exam also, right? So this activity is very very important. Now we have, what we are doing is we are putting that leaf into the iodine solution. Now iodine का एक special property होता है that when it combine with the starch it will form a blue black color, right? तो starch कहाँ पे होगा? Starch होगा सिर्फ green patches में. क्यों? Because these green patches, why this leaf has green patches? These green patches are the only areas which have chlorophyll, and the yellow area or the all other areas will have other pigments but not have the chlorophyll, right? Only the green patches will have the chlorophyll. Now in these patches the photosynthesis will take place. Why? Because they contain chlorophyll, so they will be able to absorb the sunlight and will be able to perform photosynthesis, and starch will only present in these green areas. And since starch is only present in these green areas, so that is why only the green area will turn into blue black, will turn blue black in color, right? So we can see or we can prove that chlorophyll is actually essential for photosynthesis. Now next let us see how plants obtain carbon dioxide. So basically plant obtain carbon dioxide through the pores which are present on their surfaces, and these pores are nothing but the stomata, right? So plants do perform gaseous exchange with the help of leaves, because leaves have certain pores which helps in the gaseous exchange. Make a note that in plants, stems, roots and leaves, they also participate in gaseous exchange. That means they also have some means of gaseous exchange. Now, since the large amount of water can also be lost through these stomata, so plant closes these pores when it does not require carbon dioxide for the photosynthesis. Like we have seen in desert plants that they actually close up their stomata during the daytime. Now the opening and closing of the stomata is actually a function of guard cells, right? Guard cells. Now this is the picture of your stomata and this is the microscopic view of stomata. Now as you can see, this is the pore, that is the stomatal pore, and it is actually guarded by the two bean shaped cells known as guard cells, right? You can see this is one bean shaped cell and this is another bean shaped cell. Now these two cells are guard cells. So when water enter into these guard cells, they swell up, and when they swell up, the stomatal pore open. Now when water move out of these cells, these guard cells, they become shrink. Now the guard cells will shrink and the stomatal pore will be closed. So the opening and closing of stomata is actually a function of your guard cells. So remember, when the guard cell swells up, it lead to the opening of stomatal pore, and when the guard cell shrinks, it lead to the closing of stomatal pore. So I hope opening and closing is clear. Now let us see let us see an activity where we can prove that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Now in this activity, what you have to do is you have to take two potted plants and you have to keep them again in the dark room for 3 days, where they will lost all their starch and they will not because they have not performed the photosynthesis for 3 days. Now what we have to do is we have to keep a plate which contain potassium hydroxide. Now potassium hydroxide, it actually absorbs the carbon dioxide, and we have to keep this plate near one plant. Now next is we have to cover the two pots with a glass jar, and we have to seal it with the help of Vaseline, right? So now what will happen in this case, in case A, this potassium hydroxide will absorb all the carbon dioxide which is present in this area, right? Now after that keep the plant in sunlight for about 2 hours. After doing all this thing, again you have to keep the plant in sunlight for about 2 hours. Now pluck a leaf from each plant and check the presence of starch as in the above activity. So you can pluck a leaf from the two plants and you can dip them into iodine solution. The leaf which contain the starch will turn blue black in color, right? So hence we will see that the leaf which is being plucked by the plant A will not turn blue black, and the leaf which is plucked by the plant B will turn blue black, because here the carbon dioxide will not be absorbed by the potassium hydroxide. I hope this activity is clear. Now, so we have seen that plants absorb carbon dioxide through stomata. Now another raw material which are required for photosynthesis is your water. Now water is actually taken up by the root in the plants. Now apart from water and carbon dioxide, there are other materials also which are required by the plant to make up other things, to make up their other body parts, right? So there are other materials like nitrogen and phosphorus, iron and magnesium. Now nitrogen, which is very essential element, and we have discussed nitrogen cycle in class 9th also. So it is taken up in the form of inorganic nitrates and nitrites. So plant can take up nitrogen either in the form of nitrates or nitrites, or it can take up nitrogen in the form of ammonia, which is a organic compound. Okay? So the plant can take up nitrogen either in the form of inorganic nitrates or nitrites, or it can take up in the form of organic compound, that is ammonia. Now this ammonia is actually prepared by some special bacteria from the atmospheric nitrogen. So this is all about today's class, and in the next class we will continue with the respiration life process. Thank you so much.